Yeah, look at that. Wow. Another day, another podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a big surprise for you today. We got in your all your favorite shows and video games, Allison Packard. She's in Neon White, Sonic, Rugrats, Attack on Titan,
World of Warcraft,
Ratchet and Clank, Star Wars, you name it, YoKai-Watch, Marvel vs. Capcom, Metal Gear Survive, and just wow, how lucky are we to have you here today, Allison? Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey guys, another Allie. We are Allie to the third power.
Yeah, exactly.
A3. This is actually a spin-off of A2. It is A cubed.
Yep.
So yeah, as Allie mentioned, I am a voice actress. I live in Los Angeles, California. I'm also a podcast host, which is kind of how I thought how we connected, but it was more the World of Warcraft connection. But I'm a podcast host of a show called Allison's Wonderland, where I interview people that work in animation and games. And I've been doing voice acting professionally for about 15 years. Allie already mentioned some of the games and TV shows I've done. And yeah, just hoping to bring more joy to the world through creative play. And I'm excited to talk to you guys. This is a fun fusion.
You do bring joy to the world. Really Look how happy Ali is right now.
I can't contain it. I'm struggling. Like usually when we record, I go zen and straight, and I'm like, okay, time to ask the hard questions, but I really can't. But I know where to start.
Why are you so happy? Yeah, why are you so happy, Ali?
I'll tell you why. I do play Night Elves on World of Warcraft, and she is the voice behind, I believe, the Night Elves, right? The female Night Elf character. Yeah.
Blood Elf?
So, Blood Elf, my bad, not Night Elf. Blood Elf, Horde side. Because I am obviously Team Horde all the way. But other than that, yeah, so I think where I want to start with you, Allison, is how did this all happen? How did you get into voice acting?
Specifically WoW or
in general?
Voice acting in general. Well, even in high school, I was really passionate about acting. I've been a performer since I was cast in the first grade play. So, you know, the usual kind of like theater and musical theater route. But I soon learned that I cannot learn choreography or dance if my life depended on it. I can move, but like you can't show me dance moves. I don't know if it's because I'm left-handed, but I'm always on the wrong foot. It was very challenging for me. Right. But I loved to act and I loved creating characters with my voice. And so I also learned that I started doing oratorical essays and kind of working that route. And I kind of had a knack for it. I was like the Voice of Democracy oratorical essay winner for a couple of years in a row. There was another Spelman oratorical essay that they did at my school, and I could kind of present, you know, like share ideas and information in a way that was palatable and powerful. So I started, you know, working for the radio club and thinking maybe I wanted to be a radio DJ. But this was at a time where radio was really on the downturn. Mm-hmm. And what was popping up was like the internet and new media. So I went to Emerson College. I got involved in the radio station my first semester and started hosting a blues show. And while I was there, kind of playing around with, did I want to do broadcast journalism? Ironically, I do that now as a hobby. And, or, you know, did I want to do acting? But I didn't think it was theater or musical theater. I didn't think Broadway was my ultimate end goal. And at the time, acting for screen wasn't really a thing anywhere. I took a lot of classes at a local casting school, like a school that they had at a local casting office, and that so I was studying on camera and really learning the nuances of performing on camera, ironically, because all of the theater students at my school were so busy with their theater productions. There wasn't that many people auditioning for TV and film. So I was like, I did 14 films when I was there. It was such great training. I went to a school called Emerson College. And while I was studying at that casting agency, they were having auditions for voice acting. And that was how I booked my first job. My first audition was my first job. It's funny, you know.
What was it? What was
It
your
was-
first job? Yeah.
It was for Prentice Hall, which is a textbook company, and they were putting all their books on CD-ROM. So a CD, for those of you that don't know, is a round, like kind of like a donut, but flat, silver. You used to put it in this thing called the CD player, and then that's how we listened to music in the 90s. Yeah,
Pretty
in
much.
2000s, early aughts. So yeah, I think, you know,
Mhm.
when you're young, you have a certain amount of confidence that the older you get, the more you realize you don't even know what you don't know. But that's great, because youth brings you a certain amount of confidence, and you can bring that excitement and energy to projects. And I had a natural young sounding voice, so I could play teens and kids. And yeah, and then, you know, all of that is sort of a secondary market. Boston was a secondary market. So then I
Right.
moved to Los Angeles to pursue acting for film and TV, as well as voice acting. And voice acting, I just kind of was like, yeah, I can do this. I know what I'm doing. And I had some early lucky breaks, as well as worked really hard to further my craft. Took like 1,000. I mean, maybe not literally 1,000, but $1,000. Heck yeah. Invested in voice acting career, like
Right.
classes,
Oh, I see.
and really learning the nuances of commercial voice acting and acting for cartoons versus games, and, you know, just studied as much as I could about creating characters by using different placements of my voice, and, you know, making fully fleshed out characters with just modifying and improvising, you know.
Was that Harley Quinn just there?
That was just somebody that lives inside my head.
So here's, you mentioned an interesting topic,
Just
right?
beat her up on the spot.
Voice acting in games versus voice acting in movies and TV shows. So
Mm.
Yeah.
what really is the difference?
Well, I think it comes down to a lot about the style and tone of the project. So a video game like Ratchet and Clank is actually much broader, and so it might read more like a cartoon. You know, and even when it comes to cartoons, a Nickelodeon show is going to be different than something Christy Reed directs, where her stuff is super grounded and very fun. And the characters, the quirks come from like natural quirks in your voice versus any kind of put on voice. They don't like that. Whereas, you know, on a show like Rugrats, like everybody's kind of doing the thing, you know, and big comedy, big broad turns, because kids love that. You know, they love the physicality. They love big turns. So it kind of depends on the tone of the project. Now, I would say a lot of video games these days, the dramatic ones, really want a cinematic read. And so they want like a very cinematic approach, to the point that oftentimes you're not even speaking into a microphone. The microphone is mounted on your head.
Mhm.
Did you guys know this?
No.
Yeah. So the
Wait, what?
microphone, yeah,
Well,
it's
I'm
it's
trying to
built
understand,
into
like, why.
headphones, or it's either built in the headphones, or it's you wear a cap so that you can move around. And, you know, when you're like, so like if I'm acting in a video game, I am making the physical movements. Like if I'm shooting a gun, I'm cocking the gun. I'm looking around for people in the space. Like if I try to imagine what space, am I moving through an icy tundra? Am I moving through a forest? Am I ducking? You know, and that is why they have it here, because you can bring that physical, you can turn and look. You're going to hear that in the voice. Like, I mean, I'm moving off mic right now. That's why this microphone is not the best. But if a game is very physical, something like a Metal Gear, or, you know, like I played Chef Tulio and Ratchet and Clank, you know, those are on here, a lot of the AAA games. So they'll be like, oh, it is I, Chef Tulio, you know, like, whereas other games like Neon White, it's more conversational. They didn't, and we also recorded at home, so there wasn't as much of a need.
Oh, wow.
In space.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's kind of knowing, and you don't always get the information. You kind of have to infer it. It's kind of knowing what the tone of the project is going to be when you're auditioning and reading. And if you book the job, then you get the amazing good fortune of working with a director who will tell you what the truth is. But when you're just auditioning, you're kind of just making it up.
I mean, that's great to hear. So when you get the job, does the director completely take control of your creative outcome, or do you have that little space to kind of make it your own, or how does that work?
I mean, it's definitely a collaborative effort. And, it runs the gamut between a director might be very clear on what they want, or, but usually they are open and wanting to hear your choices. Some of the time things need to be gotten exactly as written. Other projects, they're more loose if you want to do what's called a lead in, like a moment before, like, hey, da 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 da, just to get you in the, hey, here's the line, to get you in that place. But I would say it's always a collaborative effort. I don't think I haven't worked with a lot of directors that are just like, do this, do that. They come in, they've cast you for a reason. They liked your read and your take on things. So I think they want to be open to that.
Right.
So let's say you have a new project you're working on, like the Neon White games, or let's say like Star Wars, right? You're in the, and how do you you're like, okay, they give you the profile of the character. So how do you come up with a voice that matches that profile?
Well, okay, so a lot of video games are just sort of more my voice. The animation, they want that versatility, and I might be playing a boy, so I'm not going to use my own voice. I'm going to modify it. But in the video games, like if you listen to Squadrons and you listen to Neon Red, you're going to think they sound so different. And Metal Gear, right? They sound very different, but they're all my voice.
Right.
So I'm just coming at them from my voice, and I am imagining what I would do in that situation. Pretty much like if I were a soldier, if I had been a soldier, what kind of soldier would I be? Well, for me, I'm from the Boston area. So like I'd be, I'd put myself from maybe not my town, but maybe the town my dad grew up in, which is a little rougher. I'd give myself a backstory based on some kind of truth about some trauma or pain, just to give me like an edge, like maybe call in maybe it's not like my cat dying when I was 6 years old. It's like my personal trauma, but like, maybe like my father or something, or like, I would create a backstory and then, just kind of call in the essence of what is tough about me. Like, yeah, I'm a fighter. I work hard. Like that is the truth of who I am. But I'm not a soldier, but what would that feel like? And then for something like Neon Red, on the opposite spectrum, she's playful and coy and sexy, in control, and also a little cocky, but has a heart of gold, like underneath it, like really is warm. And the way she treats Violet, I don't know are you guys playing Neon White yet?
I haven't had the chance to play Neon White yet.
So good. People are loving the game.
What platform is it on?
It's Nintendo Switch and Steam.
I'm a PC gamer.
Yeah, it's on Steam.
Steam?
Wait,
right. You can play it on Steam,
right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You gotta let me know what you think.
I'm gonna download that right now.
Hey, we're recording this podcast. I don't want the Wi-Fi to get slow. Yeah, exactly.
People love the gameplay. It's really 60 frames per second, and it's just like really fast. But the cool thing about that is like, okay, the me that is both tough and a boss bitch, like two different boss bitches, right? Like you have, is that two?
Yes, you're good.
You're good. Keep going.
That's two.
When I'm not, that's gotta limit my
boss lady.
Boss lady. Thank you. So it's two different like essences, but because those both exist within me, you bring them to the front, and that becomes the character. And then it's, that like right now we're breaking it down in a very intellectual way.
That's what we do here.
Which you can do after the fact. But ideally, when you're going into creating a character, you're coming more from your heart, more from your emotion, so that you're not just like in your head, like, and when you are, if something is really removed from you and you try to intellectualize it and break it down, sometimes it takes you out of the moment and takes you out of the truth of the character. So,
has that happened with you before? Like, have you ever, gotten? Because I'm sure it's really hard to do voice acting because when you're traditionally acting, you're there in the scene, you're wearing a costume, there's environment, you're playing off people, right? Like the whole point of it is to put you in a role so you feel like you're in the world, that you are the character.
Yeah.
But you have to use a lot more creativity to do that.
Yeah.
So how like have you ever had like creative blocks while doing it, and how do you get past that?
Oh, sure. I mean, that's part of the process of being an actor. It's like getting blocked and unblocked many, many, many times, digging in the depths of your soul and pulling out what's there. I mean, there's a lot of different techniques I use, and sometimes it's just time. You know, this industry is tough because you don't get all the jobs you want. You don't get all the jobs you think you're right for. You know, I mean, if you very few people have the opportunity to choose exactly what projects they want to work on. So a lot of voice actors, I remember starting in the business and coaching with a voice actress, I admired, Melissa Disney, and being like, so do they just like call you and they're like, here's a radio spot? Like, do you just get jobs? And she's like, oh no, I audition. I'm like, you audition? You were like a star on this show. And she's like, oh no. Yeah. Voice actors are work for hire. So occasionally a producer you've worked with who knows your work will call you and be like, I mean, that does happen. But for the most part, you submit 30 auditions a week and maybe you get one, or, you know, I mean, I don't even know. I try not to focus too much on the numbers because it takes a little bit of the joy out of it. But the ones that you feel in your heart you're aligned with, it's sort of a different sort of thing, you know. Otherwise, you're just trying to kind of play. You're trying to get your best ball out there. But then the home runs, you know, you're like, oh yeah, that really felt good. Like I really felt connected, you know.
Right. So here's my next question. Leading on to what you were talking about with auditioning and getting the job, what was the process like in getting to do the World of Warcraft? I believe it was the Burning Crusade. That's when roughly you started, because that's when Blood Elves were released, right? Yeah. So what was that like? Walk me through it.
Funny story. That was actually, they were looking for voice actors on Craigslist, which is, are you familiar with Craigslist, Ali Shamari?
I am, but yeah, in Kuwait, I don't think they have it.
We don't have it. I don't know what that is.
It's basically like a message board where you can find all kinds of things. You can sell a couch or get booked on World of Warcraft.
I mean, that seems, you know.
So it's, you know, a lot of like smaller budget jobs and stuff go there, but you know, you do get the occasional gem. Of course, we're talking 2007. They do not cast on that now, but yeah, I went in and recorded all those lines, and my sister, not so much anymore, but she was a gamer at the time, and I told her, when, you know, this new project is coming out, have you heard of World of Warcraft? Like, you know, after
only the biggest game of all time,
especially in 2007.
Yeah. And also, that was the first year I went to Comic-Con and was on a Cartoon Voices panel. And my friend drew a comic of it. It was basically like me being like, hey boys, I'm the female blood elf. And then like lifting me up in a horde and like just taking me away. That's what it felt like. People were just like really excited about that game.
Yes,
I can't wait to see what you think of Neon White. You have to send me a message and let me know.
I will definitely do that. But I'm looking at the game right now, and it looks like a kind of game I might be into. Like, okay. Everything else aside, it does look like, because I'm looking for more solo games. I'm done with playing with people. People aren't shit. Like I'm through with it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to look into Neon White and let you know what I think of the game. Cool. Other than that, you have been doing I don't know if it's recent, but you are doing anime voices as well.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah,
did
I'm
that?
working on a show right now called The Vampire Dies in No Time.
Mhm.
And then I had a small role this season on Attack on Titan. I did an anime called YoKai-Watch, which fans still love. And let's see, what other animes? I was on one called Remain this year.
Right.
And yeah, that was like a sports anime. So yeah, a handful of anime projects.
Oh, what's that
Um,
like? How's that
oh,
working for you?
it's fun. I mean, dubbing ADR is a different skill completely because you are matching to lip flaps. So it's very technical, and you're kind of just often just hearing it on the fly or reading the script on the fly. So it has like its particular challenges, but it's a lot of fun, and you work very closely with the director to guide you on what your character is seeing and experiencing. They do try to match you with the Japanese voice, as similarly, but it's not like we're constantly referencing back to that. I've also done ADR for British shows because sometimes when they come to America, they want them to have English, like American English accents. And, a lot of live action dubbing as well for movies and TV shows that they need ADR, which is audio dialogue replacement.
Audio dialogue replacement. So it's mainly those Japanese or Chinese films that are. Am I right?
No, nowadays they're importing a lot of films. Spanish speaking films or Polish films or some of the best films from other countries. Like, for example, Netflix, I've worked with them on a couple different projects. They will, bring in voice actors, cast based on how someone sounds, and then you'll be live looping. Some of it's even like a karaoke track. Like the track will be at the bottom and the text will highlight as the person's talking. So it can be really fun. It can also be a lot of work.
Interesting. So it is difficult to try and match your like voice with the, as you call it, the lip flap, right? So how do you master that, or how do you perfect that?
So one thing I like to do is to get it into my body. So it's usually 3 beeps, beep, beep, beep. And then you start talking where the 4th beep would be. So you don't start talking right when the 3rd beep ends. So I will kind of tap my chest like beep, 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 da 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 da, ba ba da ba da ba. And then if I'm watching the character, if she's moving, I will kind of, I don't want to move off the mic, but I'll give it the energy of that. Proximity to the mic is important. Like if she's farther away, like, hey, making sure that I'm giving it that volume. I can sometimes use my hand to talk, to give it proximity about, like, if it's very intimate, I will put my hand right here so I can picture where that person's face is, or I'll put it further out. If she's 5 feet away, I'll be like, hey, stop, where are you going? As opposed to like, hey, stop, where are you going? Like it sounds different on the microphone. So you want to give them, you don't want to move too far off the mic, but you want to give it that proximity. And yeah, I just practice. It takes a lot of practice.
I mean, I can tell because you are really a master at your craft, and it's honestly amazing. So do you think you're gonna keep going in a certain direction, or are you planning on changing your direction with voice acting?
Well, I love voice acting, and it's always going to be such a big part of my life. I've recently been doing more on camera too, and that's kind of funny because I thought that door was shut to me a long time ago, and now like opportunities are coming, and with some hosting and also some on-camera acting. So I would love to do more of that. I do feel that voiceover is shifting. There are so many more people that want to be in the industry. There's so much more notoriety around who is voicing certain projects. And, when there are so many more people looking to break in, it's like they don't need to find the person with a great London accent. They can find the person from London. So, I mean, I think that's great for people looking to break in and newcomers, but in general, I think there may be sort of more work for more people versus more work for the same amount of people. And also, you know, AI voices are coming, and when they are here, they're going to take,
Allie, what? Did you just say AI voices?
AI voices are coming. They're coming. They're getting really good. And so they're not going to take like the best commercials. They're not going to take animated TV shows, but they very likely will take, you know, long form narration and some of the stuff that voice actors do, that kind of are the bread and butter or like the day-to-day things that you would never hear of. But, I did this pitch for this website or this internal presentation. A lot of that stuff might come out of the market. So I'm really seeing the future of my career being like the podcast. I don't know what's going to go on with that, like building a better community, whether that's on Discord or Patreon, creating content because I love making videos, and I'm still kind of like figuring out what people resonate with. Like it's a mix of comedy, it's a mix of edutainment for my podcast, it's a mix of just weird offbeat personal stuff. But that, you know, I enjoy that a lot, as well as acting, you know, getting back into, you know, being on camera. And I recently got this really cool job hosting a rocket launch for Virgin Orbit, which is a company that puts satellites in space. And so that has been really, really fun. Working in the aerospace industry and being like the one person that does that thing versus one of many people that do that thing. It's like, it's the aerospace industry, and it's I'm learning so much about space and about what they do. So that's been really cool. So I am definitely like open to other opportunities. I love to work and I love to create with my friends. I've been doing a lot of producing with the podcast and curious about how I might be able to move in effect more on the entertainment side, whether that is movies or TV. I guess we'll see.
That's so cool that you're doing that, Allison. I would say that an AI can't have in their own AI wonderland, right? But you have your own wonderland and you have your own world you've built with all these different characters and voices. And like whenever I hear your voice on, whether it be on an animated TV show or on a game, I know that it's your voice, and I know that you're playing around with it, and it's a lot of fun. On something you said earlier, you said like now there's more and more opportunities for different people. I think that my kind of worry is that I think it's the opposite that's happening, because you see more and more like major stars getting into animation more. Like when I was a kid in the 70s and 80s, and well, I wasn't there. I used to watch shows from the 70s and 80s. I used to watch the old Disney movies, right? And all those actors were actual professional voice actors, and they were all like doing amazing work. But nowadays, I think like with the latest Ratchet and Clank movie, they just get Sylvester Stallone. They just get, you know, and they're great. They're great actors, and I love them, you know. But it's, I feel like it might be even getting harder for a voice actor to get roles, because more traditional Hollywood actors are getting those roles.
Well, that's,
I mean, video games too.
I mean, definitely feature films and trend in video games, and even trending in higher profile TV shows. There is no doubt that marketing plays a big piece.
Right. And
if somebody can share on their social channels for free, that's essentially free marketing, and exposure. And big stars are beloved for a reason, and they're beloved because they own their natural energy. And so that if they're a right fit for that character, it's sort of a no-brainer. So I don't fault productions for going with celebrities. It is challenging when you are sort of more of a utility player, more of like a working class voice actor, to see some of like the really amazing projects. But, you know, there's always going to be space for everybody. And I choose to come at it with an abundance mindset. And if you're on a project with a celebrity, then that whole project is going to be elevated by their presence. And there's plenty of work for everybody. There's plenty, there is. I feel that if you carry around a chip on your shoulder that celebrities are taking away our work, if you're going to present this energy that like you're not a good fit for this project. And so I just try to align with that and say, yes, yeah, you know, okay, maybe I'm not qualified to be the lead in DC Super Pet Hero movie, Dwayne Johnson. You know, I'm not, you know, a name celebrity, but there's ADR and with there's the loop groups, and with looping, you know, you do get the occasional line, and I'm okay with that. Like, I have a great life. Like, I don't want to lament any stars, because with that comes a whole host of problems too. You know?
That's true. But it's like, what are you going to focus on? Because some of the things you think about is like, oh, do I need a bigger social media presence in order to get more work?
And the answer is always yes, right? Let's be real. That's not going to hurt.
No, it's true. But like, so let's say I'm a starting voice actor now. I'm young. You said that like you spend a lot of time, hours and hours and hours working on the craft of getting your voice acting down.
Yes.
Would your advice more so now to a younger voice actor to do that, and also split your time and focus on social media to grow your platform?
Yeah, and a lot of people are using social media. Like Brian Hull's a dear friend of mine, and he's somebody who's like a perfect example of, he's got the chops, and he just continued to develop them in public with everybody watching, but he's amassed a huge following, and that behooves you when it comes down to casting. You know, I mean, every casting director and project is going to be different about how much they care about that. Some don't care about it at all, but I think a lot of them, you know, do take some of that into consideration if all things are created equal. Why wouldn't you? You would, I would. Same thing with our podcast. It's like, you know, if it's nice to have somebody on that is willing to share and help spread the word. That being said, they're not going to cast somebody with no talent. Now, somebody like Brian or Shelby Young, like what they're doing is they're showcasing their talent. So they're able to show it. And that's not something that comes naturally to the millennials. Like, we're still kind of like, oh, I have to, like, I can do that crazy voice, but how do I show you in a non-obnoxious way? So yeah, I would recommend aspiring voice actors get out there and start showcasing their talent in a non-annoying way, and like look at other people's things. And listen, you're going to be annoying in the beginning. We all are. I'm still like, you know, there's cringy stuff. It's you just got to keep doing it until you get better.
Right. Well, everyone's
also you got to have the chops. Like if your auditions stink, then you're definitely not going to book the role, no matter how great your social media is.
I love that attitude you have, Allison, honestly, because it's a very like plentiful attitude that, we can all get work and we can all do roles, and there's so much in the world for us to do, as opposed to, you know, a lot of young actors who get jealous and angry and, you know, let themselves down. And I think having like a strong mindset is so huge in becoming an actor, because or else you're gonna get really depressed.
Yes. I mean, that is probably the biggest thing that I would say for any aspiring voice actors is like, you really got to take care of your mental health, because this job is not designed to do that for you. You are going to constantly be comparing. If you are constantly comparing yourself to others, you're never going to be satisfied. And it's hard enough to be satisfied at any level. Like, really, you have to start cultivating that satisfaction right now, when you don't have the house, when you don't have the car, when you don't have the career that you want. You have to start cultivating it now, because otherwise, every step of the way, it's never going to be enough. You could be working on a ton of shows and be like, oh, I don't have that iconic character, or have that iconic character and be like, oh, I had that 5 years ago, but I don't have it now. It's like you're constantly chasing the dragon. And, you know, that's not how you build a life. You got to build a life.
And do you have any advice on mental health and stuff? So how do you take care of your mental health to stay so positive?
Well, first of all, I surround myself with really amazing people that love me. I think one of the biggest challenges in life is to find the people that see you and love you just the way you are. You know, in our 20s and when we're younger, we get into relationships with people who like us if we are a certain way, or you know, or bring out something in ourselves that is not the best version of ourselves.
Yep.
And that, you know, something like, you know, being in an unhealthy relationship does a number on your mental health. I've been there, you know, and the best thing you can do is just walk away and say, sorry, this didn't work. Because the closest 5 people you spend time with are the ones that are gonna be, that's your core, you know, and that is essentially what makes up your life. And, you know, a lot of us don't come from families that, you know, didn't have the resources or weren't able to build us up or mirror us in the way that we needed. And so we look for that in other people. And it's just so important to keep your space clean and not need somebody else to complete you. So I do a lot of goal setting. I meditate every day. I exercise as much as I can. If I get off exercise, like I went 5 days and didn't exercise because I went Comic-Con last week. Like I was a crazy person. You know, I'm like, oh, my mental health is not good. I got to hit the gym. And now I'm like, I just came from the gym. I'm like, oh yeah, I feel real good. Sometimes it's like that simple. Not that you can just exercise away your problems, but I do think exercise is crucial. And yeah, taking a step back from social media when you need to as well. And just being like, okay, I'm not, you know, try not, it's very hard, but try not to go on there when you're triggered or you're feeling down, because you might see something that's going to lead you down a spiral. You know, those are all things that I think work well for me.
I mean, the social media thing, I definitely agree with you, because sometimes too much bullshit is not good for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a better way of saying this, and excuse my language, but it really is sometimes how I feel. Like anytime I go on Instagram or any of the social media platforms, it's like, it's too much bullshit, right? So I sometimes just drop my phone in my room, go downstairs, you know, play some piano, maybe just watch TV, anything but the phone. So I agree with you on that. Here's a question I want to ask you. What's it like going to Comic-Con and having a panel there?
Oh gosh, it's so fun. It's also so much energy. I've done the Cartoon Voices panel a handful of times there, and it is in a very big room. This time it was 2,500 people.
Wow.
And, you know, so there's a lot of nervous energy and also a lot of excitement. So whenever I'm nervous, I just try to tell myself, this is what excitement feels like. And, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun because the audience is very supportive. And this particular panel, they give you a script to cold read, so you've never seen it before. And then you're switching voices like, the Good Witch, I'm Glinda, the Good Witch. And then, you know, I get you, my pretty. Like you know, just like you're radically switching voices. And it's super fun. And but yeah, it's also like a ton of energy and a lot of people vying for your time and coming up after and just kind of wanting wanting you to like magically wave a wand and how they can be a professional voice actor. And it's kind of like, there aren't a lot of shortcuts. Is your dad an animation producer? Yes or no? No? Okay, go to class. Like,
Go to class.
Have you gone to class? Yes, no? Get it. You know, I should make an infograph for that. That would be
yes. That's funny.
Really cool.
You know, Allison, you said that like when you get anxious about something, you like to think about it more as excitement. And I don't know if you know this, but in your body, anxiety and excitement have the same kind of manifestation, and it's all about your perception of the situation. So I don't know if you're consciously like aware of that and stuff, but it's so true, like to everyone listening, is that you need to like, it's literally all about the attitude you have about life, and I love how you embody that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely that's like an old actor trick of like, if you have butterflies or you're nervous, just be excited. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. It's effective, I think.
How cool.
Sometimes.
You wanna you wanna tell me about a little bit more about what like inspired you? What were the voices that really like left an imprint on your life?
Growing up,
Or just in general?
I mean, I feel like I told this story a lot about Katie Lee and like how on my first show, she just welcomed me in with open arms. A lot of people did. I would say the generation before mine, though, there was not that many voice actors like my generation where there are so many. And so they worked a lot, a lot. And so those voice actors were very busy. And I think it's interesting because the generation before that, their mentors were like Dawes Butler, and he taught a weekly class, and everybody's always referencing his class. And I think about that, and I wish that we had something of equal value. We do. There's cast and director workshops, and there's plenty of classes. Dolores Deal's class was one that I took a lot, and she passed away several years ago, and I miss that. I felt there was a void. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of great voice actors that inspired me. Grey DeLisle and Tara Strong are two women that have very versatile characters and worked a ton in the business. Definitely Rob Paulsen. And part of Rob is extremely talented actor, singer, entertainer, podcast host. But he's also a very kind person and one that hashtag life goals. He's just lovely. And I really appreciate him. There's just, those are a few of the tops, but there's almost too many to name because every time I've been in a session, I've been impressed with somebody's talents.
I did realize we are kind of running out of time. I didn't realize how much this flew.
That was quick.
Flew by, but
Oh, wow.
like, what? Oh, wow. We've been here for an hour. Allison, I want to ask my final question is that I want to know, it's a little personal, you can answer or not, but I know you have a kid. Do they watch your animated shows and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. He's a fan of YoKai-Watch and the video games, not yet. We don't do video games, but it's great because Bodhi, my son is Bodhi. We watch a ton of stuff together. And so I'm trying to, right now, this morning he's watching Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc., which we binged. I know it's a little bit grown up, but we binged over the pandemic. It's so good. I love that show. Mitch was represent. And so, so we'll sit down and watch a lot of stuff together that I'm not in. And that's really awesome that I get to do like market research. He's even done a little voice acting himself, actually. But yeah, I think he's a fan of YoKai-Watch. And then, I still don't know how much if he thinks it's cool or not, because I'm always like, my main goal in life is just to have my son think I'm cool. I'm like, I want to work on Pokemon because my son's like obsessed with Pokemon. He came home from school the other day and he took me by the arm and he like brought me into the other room and he said, "Mommy, I hate to break it to you. Your Pokemon is not as popular globally as the other Pokemon." He's basically telling me YoKai-Watch is not as popular as Pokemon. I'm like, they're different. Yeah. They're different. It's okay. It's okay. YoKai-Watch is a comedy, and but he was very serious about it. And I could see him like defending the show online at school or something. But it was like, so sweet that just to hear that he does think it's cool, because I don't think he lets on to me. He's always like, "Let's watch something else." Like, no, baby,
And as he gets older and gets into video games and stuff, I'm sure he'll love that too. I mean, we love the games, so
we do.
Yeah,
really do.
And I can't wait to try Neon White and
I'm trying it like
let me know.
starting next after my exams, which is like in 2 weeks' time. I will be playing it, and I will shoot you a message with my review. Other than that, I think my final question to you would be: what's the future looking like for Allison?
I feel like we kind of answered that question with the, you
literally asked the same question like 30 minutes ago.
No, I didn't. I said, are you staying on voice acting or are you doing something else? But I'm talking about in general, like as a whole, future of Allison. Where do you see
in general
yourself?
as a whole? You know, I mean, balancing work with family life, hopefully making a bigger impact through inspiring people to get out there and create and play, because I think it's really important and it's easy to forget. I mean, literally have to give myself permission sometimes to put the work down and go play, but man, that's what I'm here for. That's reminding everybody to go play, go outside, go play.
Well,
amazing.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. If you're watching this video now, drop a like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for watching another episode of A to the Show. Allison, any final words you have for the rest of the world? Anything you'd like to shout out?
It was great being here, guys. Yeah, let me know what you think. I'm white.
Thank you so much for coming. Well, from our families to yours, peace, love, and happiness.
Adios.
See ya.
Bye.